The tritone is a unique interval in Western music. It literally means 3 tones, or in this case, 3 whole steps. If I want to play a tritone higher than, say, a low F, I can count up 3 whole steps, 1, 2, 3, and I find myself on a B. If I want to play a tritone higher than that, I count up another 3 whole steps, 1, 2, 3, and find myself on another F. And if I were to play another tritone higher, we would count 1, 2, 3, and find yourself on a B again, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Tritones are pretty easy to find on the guitar. If you want to play a tritone higher, move to the next string down 1 fret to the right, with the exception of when you're moving from string 3 to string 2. Because of the way the guitar is tuned, you're going to have to move 2 frets to the right. And of course, if you want to play a tritone lower, you reverse all of that. You move to the next string up, 1 fret to the left, with the exception of when you're moving from string 2 to string 3. Again, because of the way the guitar is tuned, you want to move 2 frets to the left. The tritone is unique because it's the exact halfway point between octaves. Here's that low F again, and as we already talked about, 3 whole steps up, 1, 2, 3, lands you on the tritone, which is B in this case. Now here's the F an octave higher, 3 whole steps down, 1, 2, 3, lands you on the tritone, which is that same B. The tritone really feels like it needs to go somewhere, and because of its symmetry, you can resolve the tritone by moving both notes toward each other by a half step or away from each other by a half step. Here's a C sharp and a G. Tritone apart. I'm going to resolve this by moving the C sharp up 1 fret or a half step and the G down 1 fret or a half step, so the notes will be moving toward each other. And then here's that same tritone. This time I'm going to call this D flat instead of a C sharp. The D flat I'm going to lower by 1 fret or a half step, and the G I'm going to raise by 1 fret or a half step, so now they're moving away from each other. Dominant 7 chords all include the tritone. This A7 includes the C sharp and G tritone I played a little bit earlier, and it resolves nicely to D major, which includes the D and the F sharp that our first tritone example resolved to. And this E flat 7 includes the same tritone, except now we're calling the C sharp a D flat. This chord resolves nicely to A flat major, which includes the C and the A flat that our tritone example resolved to. And notice that the root notes of our 2 dominant 7 examples, the A for the A7 and the E flat for the E flat 7, are a tritone apart, and that the roots of the chords they resolve to, the D and the A flat, are also a tritone apart. And now we're in the world of tritone substitution. In the jazz world in particular, you can substitute one dominant 7 chord for another dominant 7 chord whose root is a tritone away. Here's a typical tritone substitution. It's a 1-6-2-5 progression in the key of D. Now the A7 in this progression is a dominant 7 chord. The root is A, and as we mentioned earlier, A and E flat are a tritone apart. So as long as it doesn't conflict with the melody, you could play an E flat 7 instead of an A7 in this progression. Here's the original progression. And now with the tritone substitution. And that's that's as far as I want to go with tritone substitution. That could be an entirely separate video. But there's your tritone. 3 whole steps apart. It's the halfway point between octaves, and it's a good jumping off point for chord substitution. If you're interested in music theory for guitar players, check out my book, Guitar Theory Modules. I'll leave a link for that in the description. And for more guitar theory, guitar technique lessons, and solo guitar arrangements, please subscribe.